So, let's begin.
Right.
So everybody, hello everybody.
Hello.
My name is Philip and...
My name is Ikumi.
And I'm Sonny.
Okay, and we are from LanguageCast Tokyo. LanguageCast Tokyo is a group we started about 4 or 5 months ago now. Originally it started in Seoul in South Korea by a guy named Hyunwoo-san. And they have an event regularly every Monday night, I think it is, in Seoul. So if you're ever traveling in Seoul and you want to meet some cool, friendly people, you guys playing? We've been playing Settlers of Catan.
Yeah.
As you can see, I've got some wood here. And but so we're just going to make this video here. This is our first video about LanguageCast, kind of introduce a little bit. I started, my name is Philip Cosford. I knew Hyunwoo from previously. I went to Seoul and saw their LanguageCast event there, and I thought, this is really cool. This is an event where people from all over the world are interested in just different languages and different cultures, and they're gathering together in one place. And this makes for a really nice event. It's just about making friends, international friends, and then people connect from that, and they can maybe practice languages with those people. So we started in Tokyo. It's kind of started a little bit slow, but it's starting to pick up. Sonny, do you know how many times you've been to LanguageCast Tokyo?
I've been to about 4 or 5 meetups.
4 or 5 meetups. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give me just what was your first impression of LanguageCast, and as you've been a few times, did it change, or what do you think of it?
Yeah, I think it's a really good place to meet people who you share a common interest in learning languages. And I met a lot of interesting people, and we share a lot of common goals. We want to learn new languages, and some people, they want to learn a totally new language, some which you probably never heard of, like maybe Arabic or Indonesian even it's rather a minority, I think, still. But overall, it has been a really good experience for me, meeting up with a lot of interesting people, learning new stuff, talking about new ideas every time.
Okay, so this is a good point you brought up there about Indonesian. So why don't we take a second here and introduce ourselves a little bit, so people can know a little bit. So we'll just go to the camera. So first I'll start. My name is Philip Cosford. I was born in America. My mother is Swiss and my father is British. So I actually grew up speaking French at home. My French is not that good. I kind of learned most of it before the age of about 4. But I'm a little bit conversational in French, so that would be my second language. I've lived in Korea, and I picked up Korean a little bit while I was there, so I've got Korean and Japanese, because I live in Japan now. We all live in Tokyo. And so that's kind of my language background. I've also picked up a little bit of Thai, tiny little bit of Chinese and Indonesian when I traveled in Indonesia, or basically anywhere that I've traveled. I've been to over 40 countries, and I try to pick up a little bit of language. But for me, what's most interesting is culture and people. And I feel like language is a gateway to people. So I'm actually not that interested in language for language.
Yeah.
I think language is only a tool for communicating with people. Some people really just love languages. But I'm not one of those people. I really like the people and the communication side of it. So that's what brings me into kind of the LanguageCast world. What about you, Sonny? Do you want to...
Yeah, so I really like talking to people. So I really like talking to a lot of people from various countries, various backgrounds.
Can you go for the camera? yeah, just go ahead. I want to hear too, but let's talk to the people there.
And I really find it interesting that a lot of people, they speak a lot of different languages, but when you speak the language, you immediately open up to that person, and you can get a more clear idea on their way of thinking, and I find that really intriguing.
So what about you personally? What is your linguistic background?
So I was brought up speaking Indonesian, and
You're from Indonesia?
I'm from Indonesia, yes. And I learned English in school.
Okay.
So I've been using it ever since, almost my whole life, actually.
Yeah.
And then I came to Japan and I learned Japanese. It was about 10 years ago when I just graduated from high school. And I picked up Chinese after I came to Japan. I met a lot of people from Singapore, Malaysia, China, Taiwan, Chinese-speaking countries. And I made a lot of friends from those countries and I just picked up Chinese. So yeah, this is basically the languages I'm comfortable
and
with.
Sunny has a quite interesting story about how you picked up Chinese and some of the tools that you use for learning Chinese. Can you tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I didn't learn it through any language school or any courses or any books. I used books, but not really the kind of courses that people would think. So I was using mainly YouTube videos, freely available contents and interaction with friends. So we were just using it, making mistakes, and people would laugh at me and correct my mistakes, and we would laugh together, and I would improve a little bit better every day. So yeah, that's how I picked it up.
Very cool, very cool. Okay, and Ikumi, can you introduce yourself a little for the camera, tell about your background and how you're interested in languages or anything like that?
Okay, I'm Ikumi and I'm a Japanese girl and I'm interested in different culture more than language.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love meeting new people.
Okay.
And I've been to France for 1 year. So I love French culture also.
So your native language is Japanese.
Japanese.
What is your background with English? You also speak
English.
French, right?
Yeah.
English and French.
Yeah.
Have you studied any other languages?
Just a little bit German.
A little bit of
A
German.
little bit German.
Okay. So can you tell a little bit about your background with English and also your background with French and maybe even German?
Yeah, because I have a friend from German.
From Germany?
From
okay.
From Germany.
Yeah. Okay, so that's why you learned German.
Yeah.
And French, did you learn French after you went to France or did you learn it in Japan?
In Japan.
Why did you want to study French?
Oh, it's by chance.
Just by chance?
Just by chance.
Okay, just a feeling, right? Maybe French is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess you learned English in school, right? You had to learn English.
Yeah.
But French, you didn't have to learn French, right? Most people, language learning is hard, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't want to work to learn a different language if you don't have to. Why would you do that?
Why? Because it's fun. It's just fun.
Great answer.
So I love just it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, very good. Okay, so so you can see a little bit of the kind of people that are interested in LanguageCast. It's not only kind of a language geek concept. You just learned French for fun. You learned Chinese through watching YouTube videos and music, right?
Yeah.
You were very much into Chinese music.
I really like music, so I was listening to a lot of Chinese music and it just stuck.
Yeah. So it really comes that way. So the idea is to create an environment of polyglots, of many languages. And people can just have fun and hang out and experience those different languages. Even, for example, in our group, we've had a British guy from the northern part of the UK who came in, was telling me, like, he told a phrase, to say goodbye, he said, "Siriden." I remember he was there and I thought, wow, that's English, but it's not something I would ever say. So I'm learning a little bit of English, even as a native English speaker, through this kind of environment. So that different cultural background and the mix of that. So why don't we do a little bit of just playing around with languages here. So why don't you start, Ikumi? Can you say a little bit in French to the people on the other side of the camera?
Okay.
What do you want to say to them?
Bonjour tout le monde. Je m'appelle Ikumi et Philippe et Sonny.
Oui.
Mais
oui, c'est ça.
LanguageCast, c'est une bonne occasion de parler avec quelques personnes. Oui, c'est une bonne occasion.
Merci beaucoup. C'est magnifique. Very good, very good. Okay. So a little bit of French. How about, do you want to go for Chinese maybe?
Or Indonesian?
Indonesian, yeah, give us some Indonesian.
Jadi kami di sini kepengen bisa belajar bahasa banyak dan bisa saling tukar pikiran dan bicara sama-sama dengan orang-orang dari berbagai macam negara. Jadi kalau Anda tertarik bisa ikut gabung dengan kami di Jepang, di Tokyo di sini. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. It's great. It's great. Well, what were you saying?
So I was saying that it's a really good opportunity to come to our event if you're interested in meeting new people, learning new languages, talk to a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas and ways of thinking.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so I am very rusty in my Korean, so I'll try a little bit of Korean because I almost never have a chance to practice it. So, 안녕하세요. 저는 필리핀입니다. 옛날에 한국에 2년 동안 살았었지만 옛날에서 까먹었어요. 한국어 잘 못해요. 근데 한국어 너무 좋았어. 또 연습하고 싶어서 LanguageCast 와주세요, 한국 사람.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. Yeah. Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's enough for our first video. This is our first video.
Yeah.
We just want to kind of introduce people to what we're doing, and if you're interested, we would love to have some kind of communication with the online community, with our group community. We meet in real life. But if we can have like questions or comments or topics that you would like us to study or discuss in the event, maybe we could discuss it and then come back and make video clips of it. I'd like to maybe make some little clips at the event and then maybe we can also discuss that, have somebody say something.
Yeah.
So any ideas, any ways that you guys want to communicate with the multilingual community in Tokyo? Would be really wonderful. You guys have any final comments to our
or
beautiful viewers?
if you want to share your own experiences with languages, how you learned it, how you acquired it, you have any special tips and tricks to acquire a new language, we'd be happy to discuss about it and to ask you more about it, and we would be really happy to learn more about new language acquisition methods. Or any kind of tips or tricks that you might have.
Yeah, and I think definitely, Sunny, when we discussed about making videos, you were talking about wanting to give back to how people have helped you learning things.
Exactly.
And there's so much materials on the web.
Yes.
So we're not like trained teachers in a lot of different languages, but maybe we can give some advice to people. So that's something that we can offer in the future. If people are interested, so if you're interested to see that kind of thing, if you want to learn more details about how Sunny learned Chinese or how Ikumi learned French or how I picked up some Japanese, something like that, then we would be happy to share. So any kind of requests that you'd like to see in the future? Any other comments, Ikumi?
Let's enjoy making mistakes with us.
Yes, very much.
It's very important.
Very good, very important. I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely, making mistakes well, making mistakes and not being too nervous is a very important part.
Alright.
Okay, so let's make mistakes together. Everybody,
Mistakes together.
1, 2, 3. Let's make mistakes together. Bye bye.
Citizen.
Citizen.